Show on Footmex Live.
Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show on Footmex Live. I'm your host, Riso Vasquez from FootmexSource.com. And with me, three individuals from Mexico and the USA coming together to discuss all things El Tri and the Mexican League. Tom Marshall from Guadalajara, Jalisco, writer for Goal.com and ESPN FC. How are you, sir?
All good, all good. Thanks for having us, and yeah, it's good to be on. Looking forward to it.
How'd you like the final?
It's not bad.
Not bad is a good way to describe it.
Not the best game you've ever seen in your life, the second leg, but I mean, I suppose it balanced it out with the first leg, you know, all the excitement.
Good to hear. Johnny Rico, San Diego native, and drives into Tijuana every single day for Soccerly.com. How are you, sir?
Doing good. It was a long season. It was stressful at times if you're an Americanista fan, but we got a World Cup to look forward to.
There you go. The fever is almost there. And the famous Eric Gomez, thank you for coming on, sir. Chief editor of FoxDeportes.com, sir. One word of the final really quick. What do you think?
Yeah, during that final, I was very, very surprised that these two teams were able to put on such a great show. Again, Tom mentioned it. Not so much during the second leg. That first leg was absolutely electric.
Yep. Well, guys, we have a great show for you today. We will be talking about León and the Bicampeonato. The guys will dive into it, the Gran Final, what to expect for next year, the players, and so on. And we'll finish off the show with a little discussion about El Tri and El Piojo Herrera. But first, guys, I want to do something really fun really quickly. I want you guys to finish this sentence. Pretend you're tweeting right now, 140 characters. And I want you to start with, during the final, So, let's start with Johnny Rico. During the final, Johnny Rico, start it off.
During the final, I was pretty sad that America wasn't in there.
I had to bring in that.
No, and honestly, that upsetness that I was at Irving Lozano because he scored on his official debut against America, that all went away with that performance that he had on the rest of the season and during that first leg in the final. I really enjoyed him as much as the rest of the Pachuca youngsters in that first leg.
Good. Tom, during the final, start it off.
Hope for an early goal. I mean, I think that if there would have been an early goal, I think they would have been like the first leg, just an absolute explosion of, chances and both teams going at it. But I thought as the game progressed, it just became a tighter affair and neither wanted to kind of risk too much in the end. So it was a bit of a shame.
Good. And Eric, during the final, finish it off.
During the final, I realized that Conejo Perez and Enrique Mesa's combined ages are 110. That's all. That I'm not exaggerating, though. That's the actual number.
Well, hilarious ones. All right, so what happened last night? Right, León. Let's talk a little bit about it. They got relegated in 2002. It took 10 years for La Fiera to return, and since 2002, let's talk about it. Chivas has one title, America has two titles, and now last night, León surpasses El Rebaño Sagrado and the America with its own bicampeonato.
Excuse me, that's 3 titles for America since 2002.
Is it 3 titles?
2002, 2005, 2013.
Wow, good thing you caught that. Maybe not 3. We're almost there with 3 because it will be a 3-campeonato. All right, what happened? Johnny Magallon suffered a...
Yeah, what about Cruz Azul, though?
We just talked about the 2 big ones because, they're on there. Johnny Magallon, what happened? He suffered a lo Diego Costa yesterday, starting off, Lobo subbing in, and also Arizala 1 minute later with his own problems while Chema Cárdenas came in. 8 minutes in, and León was already 2 down the hole with subs. And this is a team that struggled with fatigue issues and throughout the season, especially towards the end, but came off, and for some people said that that was going to be over, especially with so many subs. The match started off a little strong at the beginning, a little fast-paced, but then it just not as promising as the first game. It leveled off in terms of urgency, especially, in the 66th minute, Mario Boselli coming in with a beautiful pass from Chema Cárdenas and heads the ball in. El Conejo Perez, who made contact with the ball, he kept it from going in, but it bounced off. Some people saying he was the person to blame. He tried to do everything. I mean, Mario Boselli was open. In terms of the game did have more of a defensive mindset towards the later stages, and until Nacho Gonzalez obviously had a great netted in the ball from a header from a corner, and that's the same player that scored against America, and the same player that also finaled in the Ascenso game for León. So historic night for him again. Pachuca fans cried. Gustavo Matosas did his whole huevos thing. I mean, it was interesting match, but obviously the Panza Verdes did become victorious. Tom, on your thoughts, is the bicampeonato really that big of a deal to you, to everyone, as everyone keeps talking about it?
Yeah, it is definitely. I mean, for Leon especially, I mean, it's absolutely massive. And I think obviously 10 years since Pumas did it, but I think the bigger story is that this Leon team has been put together in the second division by Matosas, the same manager, who's taken them into the first division, not just got them to survive, but he's won 2 back-to-back championships. I mean, I think that's the story. Players like Carlos Peña, who was ex-Pachuca Castimo, Luis Montes the same, William Yarbrough. These players that Pachuca got rid of, put them down to the second division, and Matosas has put together this team, Nacho Gonzalez as well, and just molded a team that's for me the most exciting in the league. I mean, I think sometimes they can be a bit naive, and I think that we saw that in the Copa Libertadores when there was a strong defensive plan against them. I thought they came unstuck, but I mean, it's just an enjoyable team to watch. There's no kind of going on the back foot, all on the front. There's no thoughts about holding on to leads. I mean, it was even in second half of extra time when they went. When they were, a goal up, all they needed to do was hold on, and they were still piling forward. I mean, I think that we got to praise Matosas for his style and what he's brought to the league. I mean, I think it's it's an exceptionally exciting team.
Good, great analysis, Johnny. I mean, Tom said it, exciting team. But who can we say is responsible for the León win? I mean, if we can pinpoint one player, is it the coaches, is it the teams? Who can you say, because of this player or this? This is why León won once again.
I'd have to say it's the young management, Jesus Martinez Jr. Tom kind of mentioned it. This team was put together since the second division. This has been Jesus Martinez Jr.'s project, and he's kind of seen it all the way through. He has been patient with Matosas during bad times. Let's not forget about 2 seasons ago, their sophomore season. He's been very adamant about keeping his players. After their great first season back in first division, there was a lot of suitors for Carlos Peña and Luis Montes. Seems like Chivas wanted to take them, and he stuck to his guns. He put out some money if he needed to the players, but he's kept the team together. He's kept the project together, and now they're reaping the rewards.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. I'd if you say one player, I'd say without doubt Luis Montes, especially in the playoffs. I mean, I thought it was unbelievable, and I think he's really pushing strong now for a starting place with El Tri in the summer. He's a player that, honestly, if you get the chance to see him live, I mean, I know his nickname's obviously El Chapo. He's not the tallest player, not the biggest player, but I mean, he plays with so much heart. His technical ability on the ball, unbelievable. Such a low centre of gravity. I mean, I thought he really outshone Carlos Peña in the playoffs, and I think if there's one player, Luis Montes.
Yeah. Eric, on your thoughts, who can you attribute this win? Johnny said mostly Matosas and also the suits upstairs. Tom did say Luis Montes and Chapo. Who do you think you can give it out? Who's the man? I mean, could it be the defense? Could it have been? Is it Gustavo Matosas on your expertise?
So again, both really good answers in my opinion. Matosas obviously a big part. Carlos Slim. You want to talk about the young Mexican talent on display? Carlos Peña, Luis Montes, Gallito Vázquez, Nacho Gonzalez, great players. I really like the fact that Rafa Marquez is a stabilizing influence on the youth factor within this team. He might not be at his best 100% on the pitch, but you can't discount the influence that a guy like Rafa Marquez can have on that locker room, motivating these guys and pushing them harder.
throughout these last couple of seasons. I think that this was a really a big revancha for Rafa Marquez. He's a player who, in the best of his times, is part of one of the best teams of all time, Barcelona, in the last decade, and he's certainly bringing that bit of experience, that bit of championship mentality to the squad, and you can see it. You can see it on the pitch when guys just look to Rafa. They essentially look to him, and he, despite his fury, his fire, is a stabilizing influence on the rest of that team. So Rafa Marquez is to me, ironically, he's like a head coach. He's like a head coach on the pitch because his level of play might be shaky, but his leadership sure isn't.
Yeah, and I didn't see that many, watching the two legs, something that Rafa completely missed off. I mean, in the first leg, he did get a little bit. He had a couple of plays in there. But on the second leg, maybe because it wasn't a huge sense of urgency in both sides that he didn't get that. But you saw those young guys when they were going. I mean, I think he did well. Tom, let's talk about Rafa Marquez. Eric brought him up. What does this mean? What's next for him? And at the same time, how is that going to translate? Do you think will translate to the Mexican national team, I guess, also?
No, yeah, I mean, what a career he's had. I mean, I think in terms of trophies, big European trophies, he's got more than any other player ever from CONCACAF. But I always find it really fascinating on Twitter, especially the US fans and people who follow the MLS more than the Mexican football, just absolutely hate him. Like it's rare that a player just causes so much reaction, than Rafa Marquez from US fans. And, I think, like you said, we saw there, we saw it in the first leg. He just went crazy at the referee, didn't he? And just went absolutely mad and,
was a young ref.
Poor
ref was just kind of just looking at him like, okay, please stop. This is national television. I'm not going to give you a card, I promise.
Yeah. No, I think for me, with Rafa and the national team, I think it's a risk. I definitely think it's a risk. I mean, in that first leg of the final, you saw him lose his temper, and I think that's always the risk with Rafa Marquez. And I think what it is because he's not as quick as he was, because he's not, as good as he was in his Barcelona days, but he's so competitive. I mean, I think it's just so highly competitive, and that's why he's got to where he's got, and that's why he's won what he's won. And I think now he's just lost that, that extra, that edge, that he gets very frustrated very easily. And I think that's why we've seen him get sent off so much for Mexico in compared to, when he played for Barcelona. I think because the level is not the same, he can't take it, and he loses his temper. I mean, I think it is a risk. I mean, Herrera, I think, is taking a risk with Marquez, but we'll see if he can keep his head. It's gonna be fun to watch. See if he can.
All right, and then Johnny, last on the final. I mean, did it meet expectations, or is this pretty much mirroring what the whole league was? This whole very mediocre. I mean, it was exciting in the first leg, just like these guys have said, and I've definitely shared that view. But did it meet your full expectations? On a 1 to 10, what would you give this final? I thought it was one of the best first games I've seen, actually, that I could remember. It was my team, so I'm a little biased. But other than that, what do you rate it? 1 out of 10 in the whole final, putting both games together.
The final as a whole, I think I'll give it a 8.5 to 9. That first leg was really exciting, and there, as you mentioned, the tournament as a whole, there were some very exciting times, some very exciting games, and even though people want to criticize the level, how León kind of snuck in there and ended up winning the championship, even though they did so poorly during the better half of the entire season. But that inconsistency is what provides the drama that everybody enjoys. So you can't complain about one thing when you enjoy the reaction it causes. So I think it was good. That's just Mexican soccer.
Yeah, I mean, the 8th spot, obviously León. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pumas also came in on the 8th spot during the Bicampeonato, the last to get the Bicampeonato, and also won. So even then, there you go. So even then, but not to worry. I mean, for all the Pumas fans that kept out there, now you joined the Bicampeonato. But I think it's a little sad that that's the only thing that they had that was going. I know for the Pumas fans that were saying it. But I think Necaxa's also had some. I think, if I remember, America also had some in the 80s, 88, 89 maybe, had the bicampeonato. So it's not, it's common, but not too common. But what's next for Leon? We'll talk a little bit about Pachuca in a minute, but let's talk about, I mean, is this team going to get dismantled? All the offers that are happening, I mean, we have pretty much the best mid in all of Mexico right now. That will be with El Tri this summer. What's going to happen? All these rumors, is Chivas going to try to get in there? I know I've heard already that Leon has said it's only for European offers, but we know how that can go. So, Tom, what do you know? If you know of anything, or what do you think is really going to happen with Leon?
Yeah, I mean, Carlos Peña's come out and said that he knows European clubs are after him. I mean, it's no secret, and it's no surprise either considering, his form over the last, 18 months. So I wouldn't surprise me one bit if he goes. I think he's at a good age as well to go. I think it surprised me if Luis Montes goes to Europe. It also surprised me if he left, especially to Chivas in the state they're in. But I just think because of his age, 27, it's like, are you going to get a team in Spain, for example, to pay Luis Montes what he earns in Leon? I just, sometimes it just comes down to basic wages, doesn't it? Because these players are only normal people. And I think the big key for me is Matosas. I think it's absolutely vital that Leon can keep him. And in case Carlos Peña leaves or anything like that, then I think you have to have faith that he can kind of rebuild this team. He's already done it once, and I mean that should be the challenge for Leon moving forward. But I think they're gonna, with the money behind him, with Carlos Slim having 30% stake in the club. I mean, it's in a club that needs money. Especially is not one that needs to sell these big players, Gallito Vasquez as well, to some of the main rivals. I mean, why would they do it? I mean, from a human point of view, that's why they're saying if a European club comes in, then they'll accept the offers as long as they're decent. But I mean, I can't see any of the big Leon players moving anywhere domestically. Maybe Johnny Magallon or someone like that, but none of the key cornerstones of this team.
Yeah. And you mentioned Carlos Slim, obviously the ownership, but let's go into it. And this is something that we didn't touch on last week, or we haven't touched on, is that multi-ownership, right? The father and son, and talking to people outside of Mexico today, calling me or talking to them on social media, letting them know, everyone knows that two teams from the same owner are the finals. I mean, and it looks really bad on Mexico. That's how Mexico is. How can that happen? Two teams, that will not happen anywhere else, or blah 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 blah. But at the same time, is that big of a deal? Eric, is what people are saying how could have been. We keep going with that. If it's not the televisoras, it's the same owners having two teams. What are your thoughts?
That's not the first time it's happened, and I don't think the criticism will go away. I personally don't like it. I think it's like about the league itself. But do I think it affects the level of play? Do I think that there's something shady going on? Not really. I don't think that there's anything shady going on with it. But I still think that in the future, you would not like to have this continue, and you would like to have 18 owners, 18 teams. That's that. But does it do anything supremely positive or supremely negative for the league? I don't think so.
Yeah. Johnny, you share a different view from talking to you. The more the merrier, maybe, or what are your thoughts on the multi-ownership?
Well, no, I'll admit that I was not a fan of multi-ownership, even though the America owners, for a long time owned multiple teams. I was always a fan of, in an ideal world, yes, 18 teams, 18 different owners. But I look at problems like Querétaro, like Puebla, like Chiapas. These players, they go 2-3 months without receiving any wages. I kind of share the feeling that Jesus Martinez Jr. shared on an interview on national TV. He mentioned, none of our players have ever received their paychecks late. If there's more businessmen that can come and put together a good team, pay the wages on time, financially back a team, let them have 2 or 3 teams. and that's where I'm my new position is. Like Eric said, that there was no there was no collusion in the final. Carlos Slim did not go tell Pachuca to lay down the game and let Leon win the back to back. Just like Necaxa didn't let that final, go to America's hands in 2002.
Yeah.
So if I know that realistically there's not 18 people in this earth that are going to want to financially back the Mexican soccer team. So the guys that do have money, let them have 2 or 3 teams.
All right. Carlos Slim was seen celebrating with the team and the after the fact. And a little quick on the celebrations, there's not going to be a parade, nothing scheduled yet. I mean, from my family in Leon, got a little bit. I told them, hey, where's there going to be a parade? She's like, nope, it's not happening. And I actually believe that there's not going to be one because there's no time. Maybe they'll do something afterwards. I feel bad for some people out there that would want that desfile, going across the town, but that's what happens when you're in a World Cup year.
Yeah. No, just 2 quick things about first of all, the multi-ownership. I think we pretty much covered the main points there. The other thing I think we should mention is that this isn't just an issue specific to Mexico. You've got teams in England, Spain who have had horrible problems, in getting the wrong owners and trying to kind of wrestle with this issue. I mean, it's something that's enveloping really world football. I mean, it's not new. And the other thing we saw, I mean, I've been to Leon a few times, and I mean, I think people listening in the US who've never been to Mexico, never been to games in Mexico, I don't think there's, if there is a better place to go, then Leon's one of the top places to go and watch a game in Mexico for me, in terms of being a smallest city, with an absolutely passionate, hardcore fan base. I don't think there's anywhere, really that matches it. I mean, it's a superb place to go and watch a game.
Good, yeah. I have been there. Haven't been back in a while, but especially now. Let's talk about Pachuca really quickly and take it over. The final. Obviously, no one had Pachuca in the final. Some people did have Leon when they came in. Jason from Soccer Mexicana said, as a Cruz Azul fan, I'm not happy drawing Leon in there. And you saw it. It could have happened. The way that they're playing, and if they all connected, they didn't have, obviously, the tired schedule. I'll say that Peña definitely, I thought it was going to be over for him yesterday with 2 subs coming down, and he was a machine at the beginning. And he was running all over the place. Luis Montes was a little bit tired towards the end. They see that, but let's talk about Pachuca. Four finals. I mean, Enrique Mesa's now with 4 finals, possibly 5 with Conca Champions losing, but great job on his part. And especially with the young guys, what do we say? Did Mesa make a mistake maybe in the final, or was it the power of the players from Leon? What could have gone differently on your guys' thoughts with Pachuca and what did they accomplished for that final?
No, I don't think he messed up necessarily. I just think that he read the game a certain way. He felt that he needed to play the counterattack. It worked in the first leg. Why wouldn't it work again in the second leg? I don't think his players maybe had enough confidence to go forward and to try something different because he does have a young group of very talented players. Dieter Villalpando was very, very surprising. Ener Valencia up front, of course. You've got guys that come in off the bench for them and do a great job. And I think that maybe if Mesa could have given them a bit more opportunity to have possession and to try to build on their own game, then maybe the second leg would have been different. But you can't blame him for trying a strategy that worked to a T in the first 90 minutes. That's the entire reason why Pachuca won that game, playing the counterattack, taking advantage of Ener Valencia's absolute speed and his effectiveness up front. So I can't blame him, but maybe when that game was 1-0 and was being pushed into extra time, maybe try something different and try to win the final on your own terms. He was a little bit too timid after that first goal, and it ended up costing them the game.
I felt the same way. It looked like both teams just kind of like, wow, I'm like, I do not want penalty kicks. Why isn't anybody taking that urgency of coming in and doing something about it. As just kind of analyzing, it looked like just the midfield. Leon's midfield was so powerful. I mean, I think he had to drop IOB back in order for it to do some kind of contención and coming in. So it kind of took away from the game plan from the first game. But Tom, what'd you see on Pachuca side?
No, I think IOV, that was I think that if Mesa could have changed one thing from his starting lineup, it would have been playing IOV in the centre from the start. Mm-hmm. He started him at left back, and then he brought Areola on in the second half. But I think he should have started with IOV to shore up the midfield to stop Peña and Montes, because that's basically they're the dynamo of this Leon team. Pachuca in the playoffs, absolutely loved them. I mean, I think they're really another exciting team. I think they're the type of team we don't see too much in Mexico, which is an out-and-out counter-attacking outfit with real wingers, who you get the ball and you're on the edge of your seat. Jürgen Damm, Lozano, unbelievable. I mean, you never know how these players are going to develop, but they've got something that not many Mexican players have. I actually spoke to Marco Garces, the Pachuca sporting director, in the week, and he said that's the type of player that they're trying to produce there. And you can tell it's for the export market. It's for more the type of players who can play in Europe. Physically, just fast players who are legitimately quick. And I love watching them play. I mean, like I said, Dam gets the ball and you immediately think he's going to do something. Same with Lozano. He's 18 years old. But yeah, I mean, Eric Gutierrez started in central midfield against two national team players yesterday. You know what I mean? 18 years old. I mean, that's massive. I mean, you still got time to grow into the under-20s league. You know what I mean? So yeah, Pachuca, I think, exciting team. I hope they stick with Mesa. I'd give him a couple of years and try and build him a team. I think Ender Valencia is on a different level. I just think he just stands out so much in the Mexican league. I think he's ready to go to, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes to a pretty decent-sized European club. Unbelievable. And he's played as a striker less than a year. I mean, it's only 6 months before he came to Mexico that his old coach in Emelec played him as a striker. So I mean, he's got amazing potential to improve as well. So I mean, I hope from the Mexican point of view that Pachuca can keep him, but I think he could have a big World Cup and go to a pretty big European club in Valencia.
It's good to see this promising young players. I haven't seen that in a long time with such young. I know Chivas is trying it, but actually succeeding. And with those guys, I mean, you even saw Jürgen Damm. I mean, just the composure that they have to go against, Chapamontes, just kind of fight him right there off the spot. I mean, it was great to see. Johnny, on your thoughts? I mean, Mesa almost didn't make it last season. Talks of Chepo coming in and taking that Pachuca team, but now another shot for Mesa. Where does Mesa go from here? Sticking with Pachuca, like I mentioned earlier, that's another loss, another final for him that he loses. What are your thoughts on him in Pachuca?
Wherever Mesa goes, his career warrants a certain level of respect, and he usually gets it, and I think he's going to get it again at Pachuca. Cruz Azul were pretty patient with him. Even Pachuca in his earlier stay he built a big team, a lot of championships at Pachuca. No one will forget what he did at Toluca. So I think this is the beginning of something big for Pachuca once again with Mesa, and especially with the young players that he currently has. He has the talent, he has the experience to develop this team and kind of keep racing this team. So yeah, the fact that they made it to the final this season was very surprising. I don't know. Up until week 17, even one game into the playoffs, you could not convince me that Pachuca was going to make the final.
Well, they were down 3-0. Right before that, they came back. I mean, Esqueda. I mean, in those goals or however that goes. What can we say about I guess Conejo? Ending a career, starting off a long time ago, winning a championship, hoping another championship, and it did not happen for him. On your thoughts, really quickly, I mean, could he have done anything else on that header? I think it's controversial. People keep saying it's a him as a goalie. What do you think?
Come on. No, I mean he was the entire reason why Pachuca had kept a clean sheet up until that 70th minute or whatever. He was absolutely fantastic during that first leg. I think Leon's offense was overpowering. It goes back to what we said about Mesa being a little bit too timid at certain points during the game. But that's the risk that you run. And I think that Mesa understood that he had such a veteran, calming presence, the same way Rafa Marquez does for Leon. That's Conejo Perez with Pachuca. And he backed that up. He backed his experience up, not just with wise words and temperament, but he did it with a great performance in the first leg. And then you get into the second leg. He pulls off a couple of great saves in the first half. I think a lot of those Leon strikers were pretty frustrated. Again, Leon having to sub out two key players in the first 7 minutes of that game. It was really difficult for them to get back into that game. So that shows a bit of the mental fortitude that both of these teams have. To blame Conejo for that header, I mean, I don't think there's really more that he could have done, having given Pachuca 160 minutes of stellar play up until that point.
Yeah, I think the header, it's an intuitive save. It's from short range. I mean, he's done well to firstly guess where the ball's going to go. And I think after that, I think he was unlucky. I mean, I honestly think he just got bad bounce, and I don't think many keepers would have necessarily saved that unless it had gone straight at the body. You know what I mean? So I don't blame him at all.
Yeah, good. He had a great performance, just like Eric said. So, well, that kind of does all of the season. It was entertaining. I thought this Liguilla. I mean, as much as people were so mediocre, however it came in, just the two teams that made it for me, obviously, but at the same time, Pachuca making it that way. The drama with Chivas, America and Cruz Azul. I mean, that was exciting. This is why the ratings are where they're at, and it gets people talking, and it gets people in the media have a lot to write. I mean, it's not the one team that's always winning all the time, and that's how I see it as a fan. But at the same time, I thought it was an entertaining. Good job for León, the bicampeonato, guys. Any last thoughts? What can we expect maybe really quickly on next year? A lot of moves, maybe transfers, or anything on the league for coming in after the World Cup?
Well, I think America's in full New York Yankees mode right now. They just don't care. They just want to buy whoever they deem worthy and necessary towards another championship run. Oribe Peralta's the biggest example of that so far. I think they're going to get a new goalkeeper. I think they're bracing for Raúl Jiménez and Miguel Layún to go to Europe, which would mean that they're going to make runs at big name players, maybe Andres Guardado, even though he said that he doesn't want to come back to Mexico. Maybe this way. A couple of other players that I think should be on their radar. Lanús's Paulo Goltz has been mentioned over and over again. Ener Valencia, probably a long shot at this point, knowing full well that he's just so good that a European team will snatch him up before America gets that chance. And maybe thinking about redressing that central defense. Massa Rodriguez is going to be gone. Topo Valenzuela is going to be gone. Maybe Mosquera doesn't come back. So you're going to be looking at maybe Pablo Aguilar and a couple of new guys popping up for America in that central defense. Maybe give Arizona-born Ventura Alvarado a chance to win a job in the preseason. He was very good for Necaxa this season in the second division. Who knows? But I still think that out there, and they're still going to buy about 2 or 3 big name players. You never know what's going to go on with Chivas. They're certainly a wild card. Yeah. Cruz Azul, Pumas, I don't know.
One of the rumors that's very strong right now around America that's getting me excited is the possible buying of Cristian Pellerano from Tijuana over to America. I mean, that would make my dream. Massa Rodriguez is out, and a guy like Massa, I can see him heading back to Chivas just to retire there, even though he hasn't made any friends with the fans these past couple of years.
Of course not, when you flip him off.
It's probably too expensive, man. And I think Chivas' big name signings, Luis Michel, Cubo Torres, they're coming back.
Saprissa and the MLS. I mean,
Save the team from
save
relegation.
the team, bring in the Saprissa keeper who did not play in that final. And then Cubo Torres has been doing a good job. I did say Cubo Torres. Who else, Tom? What else do you see on Chivas?
Chivas, I don't think they're going to have any big names. I just don't see. I think the problem now with Chivas is that there's such a kind of malaise surrounding the club, kind of doom and gloom, that unless they start paying big wages and big transfer fees, players aren't going to want to come. I honestly think that Chivas have arrived at that stage that despite the history, despite the massive name, that people are doubting in coming. I mean, look at the facts. I mean, recent big arrivals have failed. Aldo de Negris hasn't done much. Omar Bravo, a shadow of the player he was at Atlas. Then you look at the ones that have left. Miguel Ponce, Toluca, on the edge of the World Cup squad. Marco Fabian, obviously the big example with Cruz Azul. Cubo Torres even going to, it's just like the heavy weight of expectations has been lifted off the shoulders and suddenly they can play. So, I don't know. Chivas have got a really, really big battle. I think Atlas possibly going to do some big stuff now. They've got money behind them. Monterrey, I think, are going to spend big. I mean, they've got the new stadium opening pretty soon. Tigres, they always spend big. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they bring in a big name. So, yeah, I think it's a big transfer window.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Any last thoughts closing the Liga MX, this Liguilla for the better half of 2014 before we talk about the World Cup in Mexico? All right, the silence is there. Well, let's move on, guys. The season's finally over for Liga MX. The World Cup fever has finally started. No more talking about. We cannot discuss any more Mexican national team on these podcasts. All right. I mean, any Liga MX on these podcasts anymore. We're done. Just kidding. I'm sure something will come up with transfer. I'm sure Chivas will make some kind of announcement during the Cameroon game, just to take more of the airwaves out there. And I was actually surprised on my little tweet that I was going to put in that what was I expecting during the final. I did expect Chivas to come out and tweet something about
Cubo Torres.
Yeah, something big. And I'm like, so everyone can just stop watching the game and go back to Chivas. We're just kidding about the whole about the whole La Volpe thing. We got it resolved. All right, case closed. Well, we're on, guys. 22 days, 20 hours to go for the World Cup. And I always ask, obviously, what's how you guys feeling on it? Not a lot has changed in the camp. Obviously, more players are incorporating themselves into the World Cup camp. 9 players were there last week. The 5 from the America, 2 from the Cruz Azul, I think Tigres, and obviously then the 2/3 are now together with a few of the Euros. Cheech came in. Peralta is now back. Talavera, Brizuela, Reyes, and also Guardado and Herrera are coming all back. I think those are 7. So we're 2/3 are all there. Now we're just expecting the Leon players coming in. They are going to take a week off from their championship and some others. And obviously Gio and Moreno coming in next week, which should complete the final 23rd. And the 23 players that are out there, guys. A lot of preparations that are happening, a lot of tests. We've seen a lot of tweets from the camp, a lot of medical tests that they're doing with everyone. But I did want to touch on one subject. There was an interview done with Piojo that he did say, and we talked a little bit last week about the keeper situation. I was the one that was hesitant in saying that Piojo was going to start with the keeper that he already thinks is going to be in the World Cup right away, to not wait for it. I think we don't have that much time for him to sink whoever the keeper is. But he didn't. They asked him, who is it going to be? And he said, I don't know yet. Everyone is starting from scratch, which is a little bit, I think, scary. Hopefully they're just talking about the keepers and only the keeper situation. But he's going to give every single one at least one game. Who knows the order? And obviously who goes... And I think it'll depend on what. But the keeper that will start against Portugal will be the keeper that will start against Cameroon and the World Cup. So, your thoughts on that, Eric? I mean, is it a good idea? I mean, is this something that you would have done if you were the coach? I would think you would just go right away and go with the person that you think are ready to prove you otherwise, to get that, the communication is between the 5 and the keeper. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Piojo's been one to play mind games in the past, but I don't think that this is an actual tease. I think that he really does not know who's going to be Mexico's number one going into the World Cup. And I think that's actually a good thing, because if you would have asked me a month ago, I would have said, it's Corona right now in his mind. Something went on with Memo Ochoa and maybe Alfredo Talavera that has made him change that opinion. And he's got several games prior to the World Cup to allow these guys to make their case. Whether it's Ochoa, whether it's Corona, whether it's Talavera, I think at this point you really have to give Piojo the benefit of the doubt, knowing full well that there are several defensive combinations that are going to work better with certain goalkeepers. But still, Memo Ochoa is a guy that has experience with Diego Reyes, for instance. Corona is very, very, very familiar with the 2012 Olympic players that were on that gold medal squad. And Talavera is kind of new to that arrangement, but he can still surprise. So at this point, I would say it's still between Ochoa and Corona, but you never know. And I think he's going to give... it really boils down to who's going to have that better game, that better 45-minute stretch against Portugal, maybe, June 3rd. I think that's the biggest opposition that they're going to be facing offensively, and that might be able to tell the story as we move closer and closer to that first game against Croatia or Cameroon.
Yeah, I guess it does make sense if he really doesn't know. I guess that's what you would do instead of just, well, let me hope on this person and see how that goes. How is that going to translate when the difference between Israel and I guess say Ecuador? I think it's the differences between the teams that they're facing, it will depend on the keeper that is facing there. Tom, I'll ask the question too. What do you think? Is this something that's good for Piojo to do, or do you share my point of view on that he should already have somebody?
Well, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily his fault, but it's just a symptom of the, just how bad this process has been. How many days is it? 20 odd days for the World Cup, and you've got no idea who your starting goalkeepers, and you're going to experiment with 3 in 3 games. I don't know. If I was him, I'd just go with 1 now, or at least, get it down to 2, and then play give them equal time. And I think that still having 3 keepers, you want your keeper to be having some chemistry with the defense and working things out, and how to distribute the ball, how they're gonna, which I'm sure they'll be working on in training. But it's a hell of a lot easier to do that when you know who your keeper is, rather than swapping it around all the time. So I think I don't think it's great that still Mexico don't have a number 1 keeper. But you can say that about a few other positions as well. You'd like this team to be more set at this point, this near a World Cup.
Exactly. Johnny, any thoughts on the keeper situation?
A lot was mentioned by both Eric and Tom. I guess the only thing I would add is that in Ochoa's favor, the team went veggie. There's going to be no meat served in the
what? It went veggie, okay.
There's going to be no chance of clembuterol.
They were saying that they definitely took that off of their menu. No meat, so hopefully, because they are getting tested a lot. The very good interview. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. One thing that I will kind of add is I was surprised in I don't know, maybe respect towards Piojo, the way that he handled the Moises Munoz situation. How he said, you know what, he knew he was under all 3 of them, and there was a better part of him that said, yeah, I can take him, but and he wanted to go with his heart, like he would said, and he didn't. He went with the 3 best keepers, even though Moises has given him a lot and has known him a lot, and he felt really bad. He said he didn't tell him until the list, this famous list. No one knew, not even his daughters and his family members knew, and it was a meeting between González Iñárritu and Elias and everyone. But it's a little surprised that he came out and said, I feel bad for him, but I'm the coach, and this is a decision that I've made. So that's good for that. That's good that we have a coach that does that. There aren't any, caprichos like somebody said, Chiquis Garcia or a Bofo or a Conejo Perez. At least I don't see that. I don't know if you guys share the same, but which is good. I like that. But anything else on if you?
It's a solid list.
It's all
Yeah.
the what? Yeah.
Solid. It's a solid list.
Solid list.
I
Yeah.
told madre. That's what Naive Moran kept saying on the last one.
Oh yeah, no, he's done. I think he's shown his maturity. I mean, I think that the way he treated Munoz, I think goes back to '94 when he was left out at the last minute, and
It
he
hurt
obviously
him. It
still
really did hurt him.
very upset about that. And I think he was determined to do it right, and so yeah, I mean, happy with the list. I think an intelligent squad he's put together.
Because supposedly, a little drama on it. The coach called him at 7 a.m. the day of the list and said, "Hey, you're on it, and get ready." And then in 6-7 hours, it came out that he wasn't on it, and he was devastated. So already, but good. We'll see how it goes in training. They're gonna obviously work on, and I'm getting excited. We're there. I think we're gonna be looking at the in future podcast and video podcast on our opposition, so please stay tuned on that on our Group A, and we'll be we'll be seeing a lot more. We'll be doing a lot more with the World Cup, with the Mexican Soccer Show. But guys, any last thoughts? Anything? 22 days to go on the Mexican national team.
No, I think the only thing I think to stress is that we've kind of hinted at it, but I mean these 4 games before the World Cup are absolutely vital. I mean, obviously it goes without saying for every team they're important, but I think for Mexico especially important because, like we've just mentioned with the goalkeeper, we don't know who's the goalkeeper, we don't know who's the defensive midfielder, we don't know who's going to play up front, we don't know who the attacking midfielders are. There's so many positions still up for grabs, so close to the World Cup that I think they're going to be fascinating these games, and there's going to be a lot of intrigue about who he's picking and why and what it means. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Good. The mid is one that just kind of goes in. Is he going to have the Gullit and Montes? Hopefully maybe try Herrera at that DM position, or can you have either one? We don't know, but good to see. I'm excited for that Israel game. It is the 27th, is it, or 28th?
28th.
28th.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, right?
It'll be a game. From that day on,
Yeah.
It's every 3 days we have something. Obviously, they're going to U.S. Finishing up in New Jersey. In Boston. I'm sorry, in Foxborough. And then obviously going into the to the World Cup right away. So it's almost here, guys. All right. Well, I guess this is it. It was a great week in Mexican soccer with the return legs, and obviously the Mexican national team coming together. We'll be live video podcasting next week also. So please stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. This has been another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. It's been awesome to have these guys, especially this cast, who are one of the originals that come on with the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll be seeing you guys a lot more, hopefully. I know the schedules kind of get a little crazy with so much that you guys have to do, so we have. We'll make sure to stay in touch. Really quickly, at Mexico World Cup, if you want to get a hold again of Mr. Tom Marshall, who is always writing many articles. ESPN and Gold.com, anywhere else that you have any publications, Tom?
Yeah, a bit of MLS. I'm going to do bit of stuff for The Guardian in the World Cup as well. So yeah.
A lot for the World Cup for you guys. Maybe that's something we can do. I mean, you have The Guardian. I know you have a great interview coming up with Piojo Herrera that you did that's going to be published. So definitely let everyone know. So I have a lot. Johnny, I know you're at BigSoccerLeague.com. Man, you're doing so much for the World Cup. You're ahead of so much. Any new things that you're going to be doing other than your usual rants and writings on Twitter and your obviously your great articles that you have?
No, just a lot of ranting. I can imagine between lineups, between the goalkeeping situation, that I'm gonna be pretty vocal out there on Twitter.
Johnny, I've heard you've had a couple of haters.
Yes.
Yeah. When you're as opinionated as me, you tend to pick those up.
It's like the Howard Stern of Mexican soccer.
But I'm of that. All press is good press, as long as someone's out there saying my name.
There's no negative press. It's always good. All right.
Ask Chivas about that.
Oh, yeah. Maybe
ask
not.
Chivas about that, man.
At Johnny Rico, right? JONYRCO. And I think you have another one, Johnny Soccerly, right? Or something like that.
at Johnny Soccer, but that's the more professional.
Oh,
and
you won't see the rants, and that's a little more leash with the little leash. All right, and obviously, Eric, thanks so much for coming on. Fox Deportes Chief Eric. I'm just gonna call it Chief Eric from now on. That's it, just Chief Eric. Where
That's how you should go by everywhere.
everywhere,
Chief
right?
Eric.
That's it, just Chief Eric. That's how
Yeah.
we can do it. Sir, what can we expect for you? Anything different for the World Cup? I'm sure you're busy.
Well, now that I'm Chief Eric, I'll just wear an Aztec headdress wherever I go. No, yeah, I mean, we're headlining some really big coverage for FoxDeportes.com and also Fox Deportes, the channel. So if you guys see me popping up on TV, don't be alarmed.
Oh,
It's just part of the plan, hopefully.
part of being chief.
part of being chief. Well, it's great to have now 2 TV personnel. And John, you got to get up in there to make sure you get that rank. You know, ESPN, Fox, Soccer League. Well, you know, I'm glad that everyone's coming together here with this.
NBC,
message.
NBC Soccer.
Oh, NBC Soccer.
All
right.
Hopefully NBC
Yeah.
starts picking up their coverage of Mexican soccer.
Oof. Well, you can always look at us. We're already on TV, guys. We're already on how great job that we're doing. Well, as far as for us at FootMex Source, just giving you guys information on what's happening with the Mexican national team. We will be there in the World Cup. Have 3 of us that are going. We'll be live tweeting. I'll be going towards the middle. Have someone going in the beginning stages, so we'll make sure you take on that. We'll be there at the World Cup, giving you guys the insights on what we see as fans and also as reporting from the news that's happening in Brazil. Well, guys, it's been another edition of this successful Mexican Soccer Show. Thank you guys for being on with FootMex Live. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Please help spread the word, like I said, by tweeting the link, your friends, share it on Facebook, comment on everything. We love to hear your feedback. Let's keep talking about it. 22 more days, guys. From Phoenix, Arizona, I say goodbye, and hope you guys have a lovely week.